There are 3 different adaptations, right, of this piece of work. It was a book, it was a piece of theater, and now a piece of television film.
Between the World and Me is a book that I published in 2015 that attempts to grapple with the murder of a friend and classmate, Prince Jones, in 2000. It's a very, intimate work that's written, addressed to my son.
We were both at Howard when Prince was murdered by the Prince George's County Police, and it was something that was incredibly impactful and devastating.
Dear son, I'm telling you this in your 15th year.
Between the World and Me really pulls from a tragic and timeless problem in American history, and that is the extent to which American policy, American history, has basically visited violence upon Black people.
When I read it, I felt like this is what I've been trying to say and articulate about what it means to be Black in America. And when you see it on the paper, you're like, that's it.
This is your country. This is your world. This is your body.
When I first read Between the World and Me, as a mother of color, I was upset that my son was inheriting a world that made this type of book necessary.
I love the work. I was hurt by it. I was amplified by it. I was reflected in it.
This isn't new to us, but to have it put up front and center in such a personal way, it strikes you at the core.
When he speaks about slavery and how particular that experience is to each particular person who experienced it, I can't get through that without crying or choking up.
I was a big fan of the book. This book gave hope because it appeals to people's humanity.
It did such an incredible job of really humanizing what this movement is about.
You must find some way to live within the all of it.
I have always wanted you to attack every day in struggle.
The book is written as letters from a father to a son, but I was really interested in what happens when a whole community embraces the language in this book and has a conversation. We launched it at the Apollo. And so feel free, again, finding those moments to connect, to talk to one another.
Sure.
In theater, it's really about the emotional impact. So we worked with amazing dramaturgs to adapt the book for the theater, and it was really about lifting the poetry up in those very highly emotionally charged moments of the book.
He was dressed in his formal clothes as though it were his senior prom and frozen in the amber of his youth. And across that face, I saw that open, easy smile of Prince Carmen Jones.
Camila's direction and just the way she led those conversations, I knew that it was going to be really powerful when it hit the stage. To be in the Apollo, in that theater, it was magical that night. And when the lights went up and Joe Morton got up, it was an emotional ride like I've never experienced in theater.
You have seen men in uniform drive by and murder Tamir Rice, a child whom they were oath-bound to protect.
The piece tells some horrible truths, some ugly truths, and some beautiful truths.
They made us into a race, but we made ourselves into a people.
It reveals pain and joy all in one breath. And that is where I think I'm always trying to strike the balance. So that was a challenge of taking it from book to theater. And then the next step, I think the challenge of film is this is a visual medium. It was a whole reconception process.
It was like listening to 100 different renditions of Redemption Song. One of the things that we really wanted to do was create an intimate space to make it feel like right behind that lens is the person that we're talking to.
Dear son,
Daughter. Dear son.
I must survive for you.
We're trying to find another way to articulate a history we think we know. We're telling the stories through monologues, individual home movies, archivals that we just have not seen.
Animation and music.
Black is beautiful.
This is heavy material. but put together in such a wonderful way that interweaves love and pain and joy and resilience.
The real point of Between the World and Me is to not obscure, but to illuminate and to remind people what is at the base of all of this.
This is the conversation right now that we're having and is deeply important.
You know, the beautiful thing about humans and artists is that we're gonna create no matter what.